Hi, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, April 1st. Most of everything I say from now on will be true and not very funny at that. The State Board of Education held a marathon meeting, went almost till midnight last night, and the result was about as expected. They approved the expansion of 2 large charter schools in Little Rock, East End, and Lisa Academy, and also allowed the one charter school that's had continuing academic problems, the Covenant Keepers, to continue to have a charter to operate. The votes were heavily in favor of this. That was not unexpected. The Republican administration and the Walton Family Foundation, which pushed the choice and charter school agenda, are pretty solidly in control of the body politic in Arkansas now. One interesting thing that emerged was the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, which is also a charter school cheerleader, ran comparative test scores this morning between the charter schools and public school districts in Pulaski County. I think the intent was to make the public school districts look bad, but if you look carefully, they did exactly the opposite. They compared overall scores from entire student bodies. These are inherently unfair because Little Rock has about an 80% poverty rate among its students against 20 to 30 to 40% at the most among the bigger charter schools. Despite that, in 14 categories in which scores could be compared, the Little Rock School District students did better in 7 of those categories than East End did. There's not much evidence that East End, in fact, produces better education when you compare like types of students, but a parade of Republican legislators who don't live in Pulaski County walked up to the mic today and said choice has to be better simply because it's choice alone. That's not true. The bottom line last night was that the State Board of Education took steps that inevitably are going to further segregate the remaining Little Rock School District. It will become blacker and poorer. This is now 7 decades and going on the official body of business and political leaders in Arkansas taking steps that further segregate Little Rock. Perhaps the federal courts will allow that now, but it's a shame. We no longer have the old unified, uniform, and broad system of public education we once had, and they allowed a charter school to continue to operate that has never had successful test scores. You don't need to say you're sorry if you're a charter school, apparently. Some interesting politics. You know, they always said during the Clinton years, Arkansas was a small state, a lot of connections are hard to avoid. Some readers called in with some questions after the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees last week overrode the administration's recommendation to choose the Nabholz construction firm to be the project manager on a $160 million football stadium project, a question that still deserves some more debate on its own, and instead went to CDI contractors. The interesting relationships are that CDI is owned by Dillard Department Stores. Dillard's has a member of its board of directors on the University of Arkansas Board of Trustees. He did not vote on this decision. But however, Bill Dillard, the head of the department store chain, is a key member of committees that are raising money for the UA's latest capital campaign. He took the university's top development officer on a free ski trip a few months ago. But perhaps the most interesting political angle of this we discovered this morning was that John Goodson, the UA trustee, who led the move to give the contract to CDI rather than Nabholz Construction. You might know he's married to Courtney Goodson, who recently ran an unsuccessful race for Arkansas Supreme Court Justice. It just so happens that Nabholz Construction held a fundraiser for the man who ran against Courtney Goodson. Did that affect his decision making? Only John Goodson knows for sure. A man riding mowing around an apartment project in West Little Rock tumbled into a creek this morning and was killed, the Little Rock police say. Interesting reading a couple of places. One is the Daily Beast, a terrible story in the Daily Beast about a woman in Texas who went into early labor and was compelled by that state's ban on abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy to have a painful 4 days of labor until the child could be stillborn. They couldn't end the pregnancy because the law wouldn't allow it. We have an identical law in Arkansas. A couple from Little Rock Air Force Base testified to exactly this sort of problem in their own pregnancy here, but our legislature passed this law anyway. When they say they don't do harm to women, they do harm every day. Someday we'll have a terrible story like this happen in Arkansas too, thanks to our law. The Atlantic has written about generally the failure of welfare reform in the United States. They focus on Arkansas because we have some of the worst benefits for people on welfare in the country, and we do the least for them and put them back to work. And Governor Asa Hutchinson, as that article notes, is intent on giving them even less. He thinks we have a balanced approach to welfare. There's some personal stories of people who are homeless and who are on welfare and who can't find jobs and who are seeking jobs while being made to work as volunteers under our punitive welfare rules. The Arkansas Supreme Court continues to exhibit strange judgment. It appointed itself as a committee to study judicial election reform. Nobody asked them to. I don't know if they think there's something wrong with the current system or not. Interestingly enough, the Chief Justice Howard Brill and another veteran justice, Paul Danielson, are not on that committee. Just the rest of the court are. Everybody's scratching their head about this one. And finally, this isn't funny, but it's a continuation of long-running both partisan and racial unhappiness in Jefferson County. There was a meeting of the Jefferson County Election Commission last night. The Republicans who now control that commission decided to call an end to the meeting. Words were exchanged, and at the doorway, a Republican member of the commission, Stu Sofer, apparently pulled a gun on a former commissioner, Ted Davis. We haven't heard the last of this. I've been promised video, so stay tuned to the Arkansas blog. Showdown at the Jefferson County Courthouse. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR. We are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.